Hey, hey, hey. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Gundam Explained Show. I'm your host, Adam Blue. And yeah, Steven's still out. He will be back. He is doing good. But glad you're here. Yeah, stuff to catch up on. G-Quux, a new episode came out. I'll talk about some of my videos. Art Rovo Gundam put out this Gunpla bingo, which I think is pretty hilarious. So we'll look into that. And some new Gunpla got announced. That's pretty cool. Some other stuff. But hey, hope everyone's doing good. Ultronymous to see in the chat. Did that Gunpla pile get bigger? Well, we're gonna talk here in a second about that. Yeah, usually the Gundam stuff I got into this week. Hey, Barry BB. Actually, yeah. If you guys want to put in the chat anything Gundam related you got into this week, as I go through mine, I can read that. We'll start with this that I actually made a video of, and it is the Gundam Universe action figure line. It is the origin version of Char's Zaku 2. I actually had no clue this was coming out at all. It was funny because my wife and I, we were just having a kind of a relaxing weekend. The kids didn't have any games or anything, and then at one point we're like, let's just go hang out at Target for a second, as a couple does. And, I like to look at, they have that section back by the electronics now that has, the collectibles. And I was looking at the Gundam Universe stuff. They had like an Exia, which I've been thinking about. And I'm like, I don't know. I'd rather get UC stuff. And then as I'm walking away, it was a completely separate part on a hanger with 6 of these. And I'm like, whoa, not only are these stocked in the wrong place, but I didn't even know these things existed. You know how exciting it felt? Like a little kid going to the store and seeing a toy you didn't know existed. I don't know if many can relate with that, but it was like that back in the day. Like when I first saw Ninja Turtles in the store, it's like, what? First saw Star Wars Power of the Force action figures. It's like, what? And anyway, so I was already working on another video that's going to be coming next week, but I wanted to review this right away because I wanted to unbox it as soon as I got home. So that delayed a video. But yeah, this video I'm working on is going to be almost depressing, but informational. Because you know how many deaths happen in Gundam, and we try to figure that out. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, so the Gundam universe. Okay, here's another thing I wanted to add. Since my review, I've just been having this sit on my desk. This is one of the best proportioned, like, Zaku 2s I've held in my hand. I swear, even compared to the high grade, which Mafty, you see there in chat. It was funny in the Discord today. There was this little war, high grade versus Robot Spirits. It was pretty funny. There's I just want to say Robot Spirits for the win. Naturally, right now. It's interesting because I like this Zaku 2 better than my Robot Spirit Zaku 2. So it's all different with all the different ones. High grade. In fact, I do have a couple videos that are high grades and Robot Spirits that I've compared. I have one of the Aerial, and here pretty soon I'll be doing one of the Rising Freedom since I, built and detailed the Rising Freedom, got the metal Robot Spirits of it, which I really like. Okay. There was that. And then what else that was Gundam related? Oh, yeah. It's right here. So I got from Big Bad Toy Store that shipped right away, and it was such reasonable pricing, but it's this thing that I would usually never get, and it's the Gundam World Heroes. Oh, it's SD Gundam World Heroes, and this is GF. Anyway, these are just like, the SD Gundam line, but they're super exaggerated. I guess that's what the World Heroes is. Anyway, I normally wouldn't get something like this, but the reason I wanted to get it is because of this. I saw that once you get all 3, you can then put them together and make maybe a high grade sized. Anyway, I just like the idea that I can build a model kit and then combine them together into 3. Like, to me, that's just, it doesn't matter that it's like Gundam or not Gundam or a model kit or a toy. If I saw something like this in a store, I would think this is pretty cool and I'd want to give it a shot. So it's the SDW Heroes Captain Quant GF. I don't know if I'm saying a lot of this right. We also have the SDW Heroes GF Gundam Australia Type B. And The other one is the SDW Heroes GF Gundam Australia Type F. And so I know these are double O related, but yeah, having a kind of fancy, again, SDW Heroes exaggerated design. Anyway, I'm hoping to get these actually done this weekend because there really wasn't a lot to it. Like I started the build the first one, and I mean, you guys might be more used to SD Gunpla than me, but there was barely anything. But I'm looking forward to that because I just want to get to the giant robot that I can build, and it might not even be giant because it's just the 3 little ones. So SD Megazord Ultronimus, yes, that's really what I'm seeing here is this little model kit Megazord that you get to build. So. Which actually exists, right? Okay. Let me think. Okay, anime-wise, I like to go through what I've been watching anime-wise. Oh my gosh, what is it called? So, guys, I'll watch a different anime because I'm trying to go through my list. And there was and I forget their names. Oh, super like Borg Boy or something like that. I know I'm getting it wrong. Very interesting stuff. It is fascinating sometimes watching these late 80s Japanese anime that has amazing animation and artwork. And yeah, I'm trying to think. I feel like there was another anime that I finished, but maybe not. And yeah, in fact, if I forget, that's actually kind of a bad sign. So, oh, hey, Astro. No, not Astro Boy. It was like a late 80s violent type of horror sci-fi anime. It was like Borg. I think it had like Borg or something in it. I forgot the name, but and I think it had something to do with yes, it had something to do with there was like the last of like the androids and there's only like a few left or something. And I want to say it's like a sequel to a series. What I'm learning from this is there's this whole world with anime that I just never knew existed. Even talking with people that know anime and hearing from them, I'm still discovering things that I've never heard about. It's pretty fascinating. All right, let me pull something up here. So, yeah, just real quick on the Gundam Explained channel. I have that video up that came up this week of the Gundam Universe Char Zaku 2 Origin Color version. I also did a video that was GM versus Gelgoog. Just because with the Gelgoog showing up in G-Quux, I found it fascinating in that universe what that timeline did. And I felt it was good to kind of do research in on and see where was the GM and the Gelgoog at, like, I guess, the pivotal moment in the war that they would be needed. So check that video out if you haven't. And then something a little controversial, not really, but so episode 1 of Mobile Suit Gundam Ghost of the Frame, titled Ghost of the Moon, came out last Saturday. I have episode 2 uploaded. I'm gonna, after this or tomorrow morning, have the premiere date set for this Saturday. Episode 2 will be pretty cool because near the beginning, I kind of jump more into like technical information because, part of the fun of a fanfic is like coming up with background information, technical stuff, trying to come up with ways to tie it in. Also, something else I did was at the very beginning, I'm saying that this is an AI production because this really is the proof of concept of making an entire like fan fiction out of AI. And something to throw out there is, and I think I mentioned this before, this isn't my idea of where I would want to take my own fan fiction. This is more of just utilizing AI, brainstorming, coming up with ideas, tweaking just, enough to, make sure things are as canon as possible. But if I were to make a fan fiction that I would be super serious about, I might conceptualize it using AI, but then, yeah, I would want to try to get it done professionally. The truth is, I'm not going to have money for that anytime soon. If I had money to put on some sort of production like that, I would probably be doing something that's my own IP and not any other IP. I guess part of this is I really like Gundam. This gives me a chance to explore the storytelling, especially with tools that are available, so I can kind of get to my point really quick. And I got backlash. I had someone that commented saying they're unsubbing because I'm using AI. I had someone on Twitter tell me what I'm doing is wrong, and Tomino would look down on me. And then I guess that person knew because they were both into GBO2, followed up to also say what I'm doing is wrong. And I would say I appreciate their concern, but these people have never bothered reaching out to me about anything else before. And so for it to be, and I think this is something everyone should keep in mind whenever you're putting yourself out there and people are criticizing you. One, how many was it? Well, I counted, there's a total of 4 people that said something bad about my, or talked down to me about using AI. There's a total of 4. And when I looked at the 2 on Twitter, they didn't have much reach in terms of influence of anything that they're in creatively out there. So then I felt like, okay, well, is this coming from authority? And that's something you got to think about when you're getting critiqued online. One, is coming from like an authority of that realm in which they are critiquing you of? I saw that these people as creators had very low counts of followers or content in general. It made me feel better about not taking it as seriously. Yeah, haters, bro. Yeah, no. But here's the other thing I understand, because I work with AI every day in my full-time job. There are people that are reluctant. They don't understand it. And, I'm trying to find ways that I could then explain to someone how to come across the joy I have to have these tools to make something neat that then I can go to you guys and be like, hey guys, look what I made. With the understanding of, it's not like I'm now going to be like rich and like quit my job. This is just a fun little thing I did. So yeah, I can't wait for you guys to see episode 2. That will be Saturday morning. Yeah, and I want to actually give another example of this. I don't know if you guys saw in the Discord, it was like a week ago, someone came into General. I guess it was their first time there, and they had like paragraphs saying, like they like the show, but how sometimes, what was it? Sometimes we're not going into as lore as much. And I was like, yeah, that's true. And then sometimes it seems like I'm cutting off Steven when he has a good point. And I'm like, oh man, I hate it when I see people, or when I'm listening to a podcast and someone has a good point, but the person cuts them off. Sometimes I can see it's because you got to move on and move the subject. But at the same time, there's sometimes like, but that was a good point. So when I felt like when that person gave me feedback, they came from an honest place. They came to my Discord. They didn't just go to Twitter, and it's like they came to Discord, a more like personal setting, to be like, hey, I like your show, but can you fix this? So I'm just using that as an example of different ways you can get feedback and critique. And when the guy told me that I would cut off Steven when he had a good point, I was like, oh God, yeah, I could see that. So anyway, I learned a lot with this whole thing. It's been very interesting. Okay, we're going to move on. Which one should we do first? I want to do... did I lose the link? Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. Here we go. I wanted to talk about episode 5 of GQucks real quick. And by doing this, I wanted to read this review that's on animenewsnetwork.com. I don't know let's see, who's the author of this? Lauren Orsini. I don't know this person, and I'm not reading this in order to critique what they're saying. I'm kind of using this just as, a conversational jumping off point, get some background information on this episode. Okay, so from Mobile Fighter G Gundam to Gundam Build Fighters, and even the school sparring in Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury, the Gundam multiverse has an established history of casualty-free PvP battles separate from warfare. That's why Mobile Suit Gundam GQucks and its clan battle format have surprised me. This is no game preparing its participants for future warfare. It is just as deadly as war. Now, Nyan has joined the fray. She is as capable as Machu in the cockpit. The title Nyan doesn't know about Kira Kira turned out to be a misnomer, as Nyan also exhibited new type potential, completing the show's central trio. in more ways than one. This episode hit like a gut punch with its bombastic action and sobering implications. Yeah, when Nyan did that whole thing, that the new type, the Lala sound, whatever. And it's interesting because that means, we had these two users go in the G-Quux, and it seemed to be the Haro that kind of initiated the psycho frame stuff. And I find that very interesting because a couple reasons. One is the idea that I wonder how much inadvertent new type suppression would have happened after that moment. And I just mean in terms of maybe like Force users, how many people out there with latent new type abilities that are sort of right underneath the surface. And the other one of the other phenomena of new type is them being attracted to each other and finding each other. Usually bad results from that. But in this case, that's what I think is very interesting about those three characters, Suji, Nyan, Machu, how they found each other. There's this drawing in, like Suji, we don't know much, but we know he didn't originally have the Red Gundam, so something drew him to that. Machu's drawn to him. Nyan's drawn to the clan battle because of the mobile suits, but I don't know how much that would make sense necessarily unless there was some sort of Saikamu thing for Nyan to... Anyway, it could just be that sort of... I guess the risk associated with piloting mobile suits puts Nyan in that echelon where she would run into someone like a Machu or Suji. Okay, but first, an explanation of the Black Tri-Stars. This episode introduced, or rather reintroduced, two characters from the original Mobile Suit Gundam and later expanded on in the retelling Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin. And I wasn't expecting this. In the 1979 show, Gaia, Ortega, and MASH are the three Zeon pilots known for their custom Rick-Dom mobile suits and distinctive three-pronged fighting style. They all canonically died in episode 24, but in this alternate timeline, Gaia and Ortega survived and decided to enter clan battle. Their deaths at Nyan's hands, or Neon... Yeah, wasn't it Neon that I heard? Whatever. Hands did not hit me as hard as Shiko's did last week, because I've already said goodbye to them before. Yeah, that's actually a good point. Not to mention, they aren't Zeon's most endearing antagonist to begin with, on the level of, for example, Rambo. Exactly. I've already seen a teenager kill these guys once before, is what I'm saying. So, as shocking as it was to see Nine murk these guys, it told me a lot more about her than it did about them. Yeah, I think that's a very good... call out on this, where the sort of battle and the death was more about the protagonist than the antagonist, sort of expanding on story background. Although we might learn more, I don't know. Let's see. I can't believe I missed. Okay, okay. Sorry. So, as shocking as it was to see Nyan murk these guys, it told me a lot more about her than it did about them. How did they think the jet stream attack would work without MASH? Which, that was literally my first thought, right? And then I remember seeing the back of, their backpack, or whatever their thruster backpack was, or whatever. Anyway, and I noticed how it looked like a foot, a mobile suit foot, but I didn't really connect until later on. You actually see it's down, and then it gives it that 3 effect, which is pretty interesting. Okay. Okay, this means Nyan is the second member of our teenage trio with a kill count. They're shaping up to be a pretty risky bunch. I said earlier that the show has been surprisingly restrained about sex up to this point, but this week was all about showing some skin. I'd argue that it wasn't in a creepy, leering way, but done intentionally. Machu delivered her trademark sulk while sunbathing on the roof of Anki's office in a bikini top and shorts. In this outfit with headphones firmly in place, she looks every bit as teenage girl she is. It seems she's processing not only Shiko's regrettable death, but Shuji's cold-blooded execution. Shuji was anything but cold-blooded this week, suffering from an illness that was obvious even before Conch formally took his temperature. I don't think the girls realized it because he's loopy even on his healthiest days. In Shuji's Gundam Cave, the girls beat the heat by stripping to their skivvies. I liked the characterization detail of showing Nyan tossing her clothes in a heap while Machu carefully folded hers. I can't tell if Nyan sees her actions as an adolescent attempt at seduction, but Machu certainly perceives the competition for Shuji's affection at stake. Otherwise, why would she strip down if it's making her so obviously uncomfortable? So I thought that was very interesting. as maybe as a Westerner at first, we'd be like, why are they having the camera, quote unquote, drawn below Machu's boobs, looking up at her boobs, taking up the screen? Like, that's kind of weird. But I guess really the idea is, from maybe an Eastern perspective, is kind of showing the state that these characters are in, kind of their invulnerability. And that is kind of showing affection without saying it, but doing it within the confines of what's happening in that moment. Like it's almost like that, something that would be awkward or cringe in real life, and it came off that way in the show. And I feel like that reminds me of things we see like in Mobile Suit Gundam Hathaway between the blonde girl. Oh my gosh, the name thing, and then Hathaway, right? Andalusia, whatever. Where there's a lot of frames of animation being drawn that are not really saying any, or there's not spoken dialogue, but I guess it's saying something more in what's being shown. Which I think was like the most sort of character development I think we've gotten this to really get an idea of where the characters are among each other. It wasn't really doing that before. Okay. Let's see. My request to G-Quux, I would like to order a fully balanced love triangle here with sexual tension, not only between Shuji, Machu, or Shuji and Nyan, but Machu and Nyan as well. You're damn right. I'm thinking Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans enlightened take on polyamory, in which it only took the flimsiest of shipping goggles. Well, you know what? I'm going to say, I don't know if the show needs to necessarily create sexual tension, but it can create, affection between characters. But also with Iron-Blooded Orphans, that had so many episodes to speak on that, right? And I don't think you could do that in G-Quux, really. I mean, they can have the characters fall in love, but sexual tension almost implies that everything is physical and these characters aren't growing together. But you know what? I think that's kind of not a younger millennial or type thing where, it's a lot easier to be more confident, especially when you have online and stuff like that. So a lot of times people are wanting to talk about sex more because maybe they've seen other people do it and feel like they want to be all a part that as well. You can close the door. Sorry about that. The oldest left the door open with the horn of the car going. That was weird. Okay, so yeah, I at the end of the day, what I'm saying is I guess what this is saying is they're hoping there's like some more sexual tension, but I really think I want to see these characters develop naturally and organically through whatever's driving them in those moments. Okay, let's see. What gave this episode its Kira Kira sparkle was the action, both when Machu said ACAB in the subway, a Gundam protagonist kicking a cop in the balls is the energy I want in 2025. And when Yan pivoted to a high-functioning, heartless new type, going so far as to use Suji as her shield, shocking everybody. But even as G-Quux offers an increasing number of reasons to watch in and of itself, the parts that get me the most excited are the throwbacks to the original show. Did Shalia Bull say he needs a Kikaroga? I would love to see Evangelion mecha designer Ikuto Yamashita's take on this supremely weird machine. And the title of the next episode, A Plot to Assassinate Cassilia, is absolute catnip. For longtime fans, I'll be ready with some Cassilia lore drops next week. Yeah, so rating. Well, I didn't really see this as a review. But anyway, I do like the idea, the plot to assassinate Cassilia, because so far there's really nothing. This could be good or bad, because so far there's really nothing about the characters at all to kind of lead to them assassinating Cassilia, because we haven't learned a lot, really. So I don't know what we could speculate, that maybe Cassilia got word about these new types and she's trying to get them. But the plot to assassinate, I think we're going to learn something. And I don't know if that's through Machu or if that's through the Federation. Or through Shalia Bull. Yeah, that would be interesting. I'll go to chat real quick. What's up, all? let's see. And highlighted how Neon is actually a good pilot, potentially too good. Yeah, exactly. I wonder if she could potentially be another character. Oh yeah, and then that just reminded me. In that episode, didn't they say something about meeting Seema on the moon? Seema Garau. I forget how to pronounce her last name. You know, the the Xeon lady in Stardust Memory. Right? Didn't they bring her up in that show? So I wonder if it's related to that in some way. Like the plot is internally, yeah, Seema wanting to assassinate her. In G-Quux, Kikaroga is the Bravo. Oh, thank you, Joshua. Okay. Okay. Let's see. The thing that confused me with Shalia, and this is from Ashton Bull, saying that they were nothing compared to the Black Tri-Stars. I guess he just didn't know it was actually two of them. Okay. Gigi, thank you, JamKillX. Hey, Brandon, Zan, and Chili, good to see you. For Mash, I also feel like a lot of Matshu's attraction for Shuji isn't necessarily sexual or romantic as much as it about just having real connection through the killer. Exactly. I feel like she's associating that experience with him, and then there's that drawn, and that's where I think it's going to build a relationship. That's how I'm seeing it, and I think the taking off the clothes was about being cool. That was just a way for the show to show maybe these characters could have this, let's see, Kenny Allen. Yes, I know. Sure, if I want to watch G-Quux, I would rather watch the original Gundam series than this. It's just that it's not like a cup of tea. Well, hey, they both exist, so that's pretty cool. From Ashton, maybe Cassilia comes to their colony and they get caught up in the plot during clan battle. Yeah, yeah, Granada. Yeah, I wonder if that's why I'm thinking it might be something to do with Seema on the moon. But yeah, why would? Anyway, that could make next episode pretty exciting, actually. Because yeah, I'm not too sure what they're gonna do. Okay, and then at the end of the day, I will say, this has been entertaining to watch. I don't find it to be any sort of amazing like sci-fi show or anything, but I think it's kind of a fun little neat Gundam thing. I think I say that all the time. And I am streaming it every Tuesday. Yeah, around the time it comes out, it's like 10:55 Central. So, and I'm doing that during my lunch break at work. So I wonder when the show is over, I might start doing something else where it could just be streaming, just going through maybe the original show or something like that, or other shows. I might try to keep that up. Okay. Let's talk about some other stuff, because we're talking about the new episode of G-Quux and how it had the new Rick Dom. They've actually got, and I was just looking at Gundam Kits Collection, but also on the Gundam.info website. They got the Rick Dom, which this was quick. And I remember, I think it was, it had to be like 3 weeks ago now with Steven, when we were going through the Amazon listing, and how there was like a couple listings that didn't have a little picture, and we're assuming what could the other mobile suits be. So one could be the Gelgoog. Looks like the GM. We talked about that last week. And the other one is this Rick Dom. So, a couple things looking at the Rick Dom in high grade form. I mean, if you're a fan of UC, this really sticks to that. And it doesn't go out of its way to look like an Evangelion design or anything like that. I mean, in fact, we can even look at, and for those, I guess, that are listening, I'll try to describe it. On the Gundam Wiki, it has main and it shows the Rick Dom, and then you can click, GQ and see the version in G-Quux. But you can also click on Thunderbolt. And when you look at the Thunderbolt version, it looks even more extreme than the one from G-Quux. And not in a bad way. I actually think this looks great. The stuff they did in Thunderbolt is awesome. Actually, let's look at the Origin one too. There's no picture. Must be in the manga. This is an example of probably, I'm conflicted, I guess, between this and the Gelgoog GM, which one I like the most that's closer to more of a traditional UC design, even though I think the Gelgoog does look a little more interesting and unique. Okay. So yeah, going back to this. So it comes with the bazooka. The thing I find interesting is the back leg. That's the backpack. It's like an additional thruster. This is like a good idea. Yeah, especially when we get a shot of the back of the unit showing the leg up as it is used as a backpack on the back. That is really cool. Although I wonder, as we're looking at this, there is a lot of silver around the thrusters here, and I wonder how much the kit is actually going to have that on there. And look, there's even red underneath. With the G-Quux kit specifically, there's a lot of areas to detail where we're looking at the GM and unsure. This one could have a lot. Like, there's these white lines on the side. To me, that would be a sticker they'll probably give, right? And then there's just other little things like the flash grenade, little white thing on the shoulder. So yeah, there could be a lot to this that you would have to potentially customize. But I like that. I enjoy that. Yeah, the other interesting thing is the heat blade or whatever being more of a beam saber. But I don't know. I wonder what technology they're using for that. Okay, and it comes with multiple hands. Oh, the little the electrical hook thing, which is like a goof thing. That was pretty interesting. Yeah, that's about it. So let's see. Let me go to see when it says scheduled to launch in September 2025. So yeah, that does align with what Steven and I were seeing on Amazon. Let's see. Ultronimus, I love the extra boosters, just a third leg. Yeah, I know. It's like so simple and it works. Let's see. Al Mitchell, that was a pretty cool redesign. Also, hello, Gunamaniacs. Yeah, Alan, good to see you. Good. That's cool that you like that design. I do too. I think so far this has been a really good design to come out of G-Quux. GMQX Dom, you can't kick my ass because mine can kick you. Okay, that was good. That was good. I didn't even think about that. Okay, Ahsoka, the Heat Saber's green and Gunpla blue in the anime and yellow in the OG. So when you say green and Gunpla, when we were watching G-Quux, they had painted it or animated it as a blue color, and you're saying that the Gunpla's green. Interesting. Wait, I just realized the black dress has 3 legs. Yeah, it's funny that they I mean, not funny. I think it's very creative that they did that. Hey, Robert, good to see you. There's a new mecha anime that's currently coming out on Crunchyroll that is awesome. Check out I'm the Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire. Okay, I might have to check that out since I need more to watch. Okay, what was the other thing I was going to pull up? I think that was it. I think we're going to now go into some lore about the Rickdom real quick, because the MS-09R Rickdom is kind of like the space version of the MS-09 Dom, and they look the same. I was trying to think to myself, what makes them look different? And I had the 2 Wikipedia pages open, just clicking back and forth, and at the first glance, it seems like they are just exactly the same. Just one has space armaments for going into space. So let's look at that. Proposed by Zimad as one of the competing designs for Xeon's next generation space use mobile suit in the middle stage of the 1-year war, the MS-09R was a variant of the ground use Dom. The MS-09 was chosen as the development base due to its good basic design. Good for it. Its block structure was a major factor that enabled its specifications to be easily changed without modifications to its basic frame. So that's a big deal. Isn't that what they were trying to come up with, with like the Mark II and all that, that movable frame thing? The MS-09R removed the ground use equipment of its predecessor and replaced them with space use equipment, increasing its propellant capacity and its vernier thruster output. thermonuclear jet engines on its feet were replaced with thermonuclear rocket engines. Okay, so it was thermonuclear jet engines on the feet, and they were replaced with thermonuclear rocket engines. So that might give an idea to like this third foot it has. Let's see if they talk about it on here. If we go to the GQucks page, let's see. The Rickdom is a heavy combat mobile suit modified for space combat based off a design originally built for combat on Earth. So that's kind of the same lore. The most unique characteristics of the Rickdom is its third leg at the back, which acts as both a stabilizer when using its hover engines on the ground and also as additional thrusters for enhanced space maneuverability. And I mean, I'm just going to say, as like a fan of Gundam stuff, this idea is cool. Like, it's just the idea of having that third leg, like just thinking of like battling on ground with that, what sort of tricks it could do. I mean, it already looks cool when you see the different variations that are like skating around, even high mobility type Zaku's. You know, those big feet at the bottom of kind of the Xeon and even Zimad designs really look great when you see these mobile suits hovering around into battle. So it'd be cool to see some more ground combat. And it makes me think ground combat would probably only happen outside of a clan battle, because I'm pretty sure one of the rules would be away from anything that they could destroy. Let's see. Jim Killex saying, I'm more partial to knights and magic myself. Okay. That's right. Yeah, I think Robert has brought that up before. And from Ashen, well, if we're recommending anime, I recommend Lazarus, same guy that did Cowboy Bebop, and it's cyberpunk in genre, with a ragtag group hunting a doctor that has doomed everyone on Earth. Lazarus. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. If same guy that did Cowboy Bebop. I haven't finished Cowboy Bebop, but I've watched the movie and watched a bunch of the episodes of the show. It's good. Ashen, we men all know we want that third leg. That joke was gonna pop up somehow. Pop up. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that. Oh, and you know what? There's actually some pictures here, obviously, on the wiki of it in action. Oh, and you know what? It's interesting because we see the heat saber on the back. I guess this is animation or the pictures from the anime. And it's an actual long blade and staff. It's not like a beam thing. So it just has different color for the heat. Blue is a heat color, so that makes sense if we're saying the show was blue. But green, I guess, for the model kit's a little weird. Okay, so let's go back then. Well, actually, Thunderbolt real quick. To see if they kind of explain a mobile suit operated by the Principality of Xeon's Living Dead Division, the Thunderbolt sector. It is equipped with a specialized backpack that has a propellant tank and 2 foldable subarms at the top that can be moved back and forth along a rail. I do like the idea that, you know, and who knows, by the time we see the Rickdom and GQucks, how far did they add that third leg on? Whereas back in 0079, they're not even thinking of that thruster output from a whole leg instead of propellant tank and all that. You know, I almost feel like that's kind of coincides with what the technology might potentially be in these different universes. But yeah, I don't think there's really. Okay, there's some history. So the Rickdoms were used by Hoover, Isla, and Fisher Nest to assist Daryl Lorenz in defending an attack. Okay, no, I was hoping if there was some like development history, but they probably didn't go that deep. Okay, so then heading back to Maine. Let's see. The MS-09R removed the ground use equipment of its predecessor and replaced them with space use equipment. Yeah, increasing its propellant capacity and its vernier thruster output. Oh yeah, we talked about that because of thermonuclear engines. Its backpack thrusters adopted the Saturn engine, a type of thermonuclear rocket engine that used heavy elements as propellant, granting it higher thrust than those that used lighter elements. Oh, what is that element called? I think I talked about this in that video I did recently about propulsion technology in Gundam, and it's the idea of, I guess, how the element reacts to combusting in like a vacuum. It's like the rocket is creating that. Anyway, I don't have all that information in front of me, but I guess I'm just saying I like, again, how, especially with these 0079 suits, they do kind of go into some cool technology that we can compare to modern technology. Okay, its total spec, including cost and ease of manufacture, surpassed that of the Zaku 2 high mobility type. Let's just look at that again real quick. And here's the Johnny Redden custom. I wonder if they just have some. No, okay, well, but yeah, high mobility type, and then there's the surface type is that other one I was talking about from Cuckoo's Doan's Island. But okay, to go back to here. So at the time, the high mobility type was the most advanced, the Zaku 2, until the Rick Dom. Like the Dom, the Rick Dom was heavily protected for defense, adopting a unique skirt armor designed to protect weak points in the back, such as thrusters, and the suit was mockingly called skirted by Federation pilots as a result. Okay. All right. In addition to retaining the Dom's armaments, including its signature giant bazooka, some units under Dozl were said to be equipped with the experimental beam bazooka. Though the Rick Dom's generator output was insufficient to use beam weapons, the beam bazooka did not require energy from the mobile suit to be used. However, the weapon never reached mass production due to frequent explosions, though it was rumored that an improved variant of the Rick Dom capable of using the beam bazooka safely existed. It's kind of common with mobile suits not working right and exploding. Okay. Let's see. It's very interesting because it was in September of UC 0079 that Zeon began planning the development of their next space combat mobile suit. And so it was 4 designs that were submitted. The high mobility type we just talked about, the Rick Dom, the MS-15 Gaian, and the MS-11 Gelgoog. Okay, so this is the Makuve Gaian. That's interesting. And then the let's look at the MS-11 Gelgoog. Well, this is taking me to MS-14 Gelgoog, so we will skip that for now. Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty good for the history. That's just kind of interesting. Making that GM and Gelgoog video I did, I find it really fascinating the types of mobile suits that were available during that time in the 1 year war, because it was just where Zeon started, where look, like, hey, we have okay, let me do this example. It's like, when internet first came out, and, it was like Western areas or the US that had the internet. And then over time, other countries would get an internet infrastructure. But over time, these companies got the newer infrastructure, and the U.S. is still using the old. So for a while, other countries would always have faster internet than the U.S. But that was just because they got into the technology later, and by then it was better technology. U.S. already had this infrastructure, and I feel like that's kind of the same thing, that happened here. Okay. Next. And actually, look at that. Midnight Hatter. How are we tonight, Gundam Maniacs? Doing good, and I think he got here at the right time, because we're going to play a little game. Although, I don't know how we'll play it, but we'll ask chat. So this might be hard to read. I'm sorry, and I'm trying to zoom in, but Instagram, whatever. This is from the Art Rovo Gundam Instagram, and he posted up a Gunpla bingo. And these are things that happen maybe when you're building or plan to build. I'm just going to start going through them, and I guess whenever you feel like this, you could relate to any of these, tell me in the chat. That'd be fun. Okay, first in Gunpla bingo is cut yourself on a sharp piece. So I can say I've done that, although I don't know about. I bet I've done that with Gunpla, but I know for sure I've done that with that Super 7 Godzilla. When I was taken off the head that one time, and Yeah. And then that's the other thing too is I don't use hobby knives. Also, just to kind of avoid cutting myself. Um, let's see. Spent over an hour on one detail. Spend over an hour on one detail. I could see potentially maybe adding up, like if I was painting something and I didn't like the way it looked, and so then I tried to clean it and then paint again and then decide to give up and then maybe. Um, Ashton, I've done it with the hobby knife, but not the pieces. Yeah, that was my thought too, but I could see it happening. All right, here's another one. Stayed up past midnight building. You know what? I don't think I've done that. Only because I got into the building after being an old man and having kids. Because I don't usually stay up past midnight, and if I do, I might not be building. Okay. Bought a new kit before finishing one. I'm pretty sure we've all done that. I mean, I think you are I think anyone that builds Gunpla is perpetually always having kits before finishing what they had before. Right? Okay, workspace is an absolute mess. I will say that does happen. But I tend to clean, like even right before I started, I kind of went through clean this area, and then I was able to, oh, okay, drop that and scare the dog. Just for those watching, the dog just ran. But you know what? Sometimes it depends. Like, let's say I start building a kit one day. It could be where there's like a 4-day period where, yes, my desk is a mess, and then I try to clean it. Here's a trick. I don't know if this is just me or it works for everyone, but I will, a lot of times, if I'm about to work on something or I'm figuring out which thing I should work on first, I'll just clean my desk first and kind of naturally then be like, oh, I feel like I have room for this or whatever. It's kind of a little tip, I guess. Okay. Let's see. Alternatives. Oh, hey, I'm finally on the board for buying a kit without having finished the last. Let's see what else there is. Backlogs are a thing for a reason. Yep. Okay. Okay, found a random part you thought was lost. Man, 100%. That happens. I mean, I can't say all the time, but I want to say, I guess for as often as I will lose a piece, I've probably ended up finding it eventually more than I've completely lost them. And it's funny because there's times where it's like I've known I've vacuumed since, and it's like, is this really still here? Robert saying, check out the Seedverse comment. Let's see. I'll have to check that out later. Okay. Watched a tutorial mid-build. Yeah, I would say depending on the technique that I'm working on, I will sometimes throw on a YouTube video, be like, let me see what mistakes they're making. Okay, reposed a finished kit 3+ times. What? 300+ times, of course. That's like the main course when you're done. Okay, took 10+ photos of a completed build. What? It's more like 100+. But really, I'm curious how many of you are posting a lot and taking pictures, because for me, that's like the main thing. Okay, spilt a drink next to your Gunpla. Yeah. Yep. Yep. But not too often, but when it has, it's one of those things where you're like, Adam, you dumb mother. Like, you knew there's no reason for liquid to be within a certain range of an, plastic. Okay. Had to fix a part you assembled incorrectly. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens at least one time each build. I would not be surprised. In fact, was there something I was just building and I did that? I'll have to think about it. Okay. Found plastic bits in an unexpected place. Oh, yeah. Nubs. Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, we got the free space. All right, sanded a nub mark twice. Yeah, I guess if I have to get back at it again because it didn't look good. Okay, realized you need better lighting to build. Yeah, and sometimes it's funny how much that will happen mid-build, where it's like, this whole time I should have had light here. You just sometimes you get in the moment and focused, you know. Let's see. Compare your build to others online. I think I only do that because I build so specifically. My thing is I like to build something as accurate to the anime as possible, or but with like uh decals, So a lot of times if people are making builds where they're just trying to do a straight build but decal it, yeah, I will compare to be like, okay, what else can I do to make it clean? Or be like, oh, that person actually didn't. I think, yeah, there is a big YouTuber that built a G-Quux, and they, not that they have to, but they didn't do all the little details that I felt really completes it. So okay, got hand cramps from building too much. I don't think so. I don't think that's happened yet. I don't know. Maybe a little sore around the thumb sometimes if I'm, but no, I don't know. Okay, needed tweezers for a tiny part. Oh yeah, I mean, and not really a part, but it's when you get those tiny decals, crossbone real grade decals. Anyone? Okay, ran out of supplies mid build. I don't think I've had that happen yet. I don't think I've had that happen. Skipped a meal because you were too focused on building. No, I don't think that's happened either. Found a kit on sale. Oh yeah. My, the best was that period like a couple years ago where all those premium Bandai Advanced of Zeta kits were on Amazon as used because the box doesn't have the plastic thing around it, so I think they just consider it used or something. But I was getting all these Advanced of Zeta kits. I built the Hazenthly completely. Got some option parts. Yeah, if you look around, you can find stuff on sale. Okay. Showed someone all your progress. Yeah, definitely. Right? I mean, I think with my videos. Okay, organized your tools mid-build. Yes. Sometimes when you get to a point when you're not using as much certain stuff, this kind of goes back to my cleaning the space. It will get to a point where if I feel like I'm super cluttered, I will start. Oh yeah, if you watch some of the lives I do where I unbox stuff, like sometimes I cannot move on until I've consolidated this open box trash to the side. And I think some of it is too just over time when you are working with a lot of stuff around, you can lose things easily too. So, okay. Took a break due to frustration. I would say yes, especially more when not a lot recently, but back when I was trying to paint yellow on parts. That was, I hated that the most when I didn't really know how to tackle painting yellow on things. Oh my god! Especially if it's like a Federation crest on like a crotch piece, like the the Gundam. The GMs don't have that, but yeah, anytime you have to do that yellow part, and man, it was a Pale Rider space type. Its thrusters on the back has an area that's yellow, and it just did not look good. And I'm like, there's no way I want to even associate myself with the work I just did, because yeah, it's just okay. Spent too much on a kit. I was thinking spent too much time on a kit, but maybe let's talk about that. But just spent too much on a kit, like spent too much money. Let's see. This is a good one because I wonder how many of you out there could have possibly, maybe something that was on premium Bandai and then it was gone, so you pay more on eBay. I did that with the Pale Rider Space Type. I think I paid no the Toad's Ritter. Toad's Ritter. Let's see. Oh, see Robert. GMKLX. Oh, hand cramps. So you get those? Okay. Not much, but my runners, GMKLX, that's a good call too. Sometimes mid build, it's good to get an assessment of your runner situation. For me, like if I have a certain runner, maybe there's only one or two more parts on it, I will take off those parts and then make it where the bottom of the box is the first empty runner, and then I go from there. And it's less obsessive compulsive and more of little mental goals of like knowing, okay, this is how much I've completed, to kind of keep myself motivated. Yes, I still need to finish my on Mitsu Aerial Gundam, but it's a sticker hell model. Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't checked that out. That reminded me of the Sanandri tons of it was bigger, so it wasn't as difficult. Okay, so here's that other one. Spent too much time on a kit. The reason I say this is because I wonder if you will. I bet this happens with a lot of artwork people create. Like you create some artwork, you're really proud of it, but you keep iterating on it because you're like, well, I'm not quite done, not quite done. I don't think I've done that with a Gunpla model kit, but I could see myself, and sometimes that feeling comes to me if, for instance, I have my model kit and then I'm like, okay, what detail can I put here? What can I paint silver? What detail? And then sometimes like, no, you've got it. You're done. But, oh, you know what? It's impossible to see. I was just thinking like when I was watching G-Quux, when they did a close-up of the G-Quux on the shoulder, the red decal on the shoulder, and it's going to be hard to see, but it has a little, it's impossible to see right now, but it has a white, in the show, I saw that had a little white text, and the sticker seems to have that, which is impressive, because in my mind, I was like, I don't think that had the white text, but it's there, and it's tiny. That's impressive. Okay, yeah, back to finishing this. Yeah, I think we're done here with this, is Gunpla Bingo, but I feel like that was pretty fun. I wonder if there's any other stuff you guys can think of that would go on a Gunpla Bingo. And you know what? If you guys know Goose, longtime supporter of Gundam Explained, one of the first, we did a G-Watch where we were creating a Godzilla bingo card, and I want to explore this again. I want to do a Godzilla bingo, and I feel like that would be a lot of fun. He came up with a lot of good stuff, and since I've watched a lot of the movies that I missed before recently, it's given me a lot of good ideas for that. Let's see. Ashton, I spent too much time fidgeting with stickers on Gunpla trying to line them up perfectly, but not on the whole kit. Oh, yeah, that reminded me. I think if I am to say I spend too much time on any part, I think it is the stickers, because the replacing, getting it to line up perfectly, because like I feel like if it's off, I see it, it bothers me. Take it off, put it on again, line it up just right. Not too dissimilar from the older film screen protectors on cell phones, where it's like you had to get the film on right, and if you didn't, you messed it up, you could ruin it. Now they have it where it's like this glass device, this device you put on that, puts on the glass protector. Well, cool. Well, cool show, everyone. I think that's about it. Had a lot of fun. Stay tuned for Saturday. Pretty soon the premiere will be scheduled for episode 2 of Ghost of the Frame Mobile Suit Gundam. And what else? And I'll bring this up again. GundamExplained.com. There's a Substack newsletter. That's where you can get notifications of the podcast version, or just the weekly newsletter in general, where I just kind of sum up what happened during the week, just in case you missed things. And also shout out to Art Rovo Gundam, sponsor of this channel and this video. Check the link in the description. If you order from Art Rovo, helps him out, helps me out. Yes, I think that's about it. So thanks, everyone. Thanks, supporters. Thanks, chat. That was a lot of fun. And I will see you guys next time.